Hello, listeners, and welcome again to Random Conversations on Portocali Radio. Here with me, as always, there is Janus, and I am Federico Spadoni talking. So, our show, if you have been listening to it this last month, but today we have a little bit different broadcast for you listeners. As usual, we're going to talk about one country, Tunisia. It's today. But we will not do it with a guest here with us as we usually do, but instead we will try to look at what happened in the recent years in Tunisia, thanks to some audio clips and some audio contributions that we have put together looking through the internet. So let's listen to the first Tunisian song, and right after we begin with our show. And welcome back to the show. You just listened to Sheikh Himam with Ya Falastania, of course, an author from Tunisia. That it's what we're going to talk about today. So let's go through the first thing we usually do here. So is reading you some facts and some numbers about the country we talk about. So Tunisia, of course, is located in North Africa, what is called also Maghreb. Population is 10 million, around 10 million. The area occupied by Tunisia, it's 610,000 square kilometers. Capital is Tunis. The type of government is a semi-presidential republic. The president is Beji Kahid Essebsi. The prime minister is Youssef Al-Shahed. Regarding the demographics, we can say that the majority of the population is Arab, while there are a small percentage of Berbers and also Europeans, especially from Italy and France. The official language is Arabic, but of course Berber and French are spoken and understood throughout the country. The literacy rate is at 81%. The nominal GDP of the country is 45,000 millions of dollars. This GDP is formed 10% by agriculture, 25% by industry, and 63% by services. The unemployment rate is at 13%, while the youth unemployment rate is around 30%. So this country, Tunisia, has been on the papers for these last 7 years, since 2011, when the so-called Jasmine Revolution started. And so today we will try to look at what happened from 2011 until this year 2018, and we will try to do this by listening to this audio clip that we have prepared. So we start with that, and then we'll be back.
That story of self-determination began 6 months ago in Tunisia. On December 17th, a young vendor named Mohamed Bouazizi was devastated when a police officer confiscated his cart. This was not unique. It's the same kind of humiliation that takes place every day in many parts of the world. The relentless tyranny of governments that deny their citizens dignity. Only this time something different happened. After local officials refused to hear his complaints, this young man, who had never been particularly active in politics, went to the headquarters of the provincial government, doused himself in fuel, and lit himself on fire. There are times in the course of history when the actions of ordinary citizens spark movements for change because they speak to a longing for freedom that has been building up for years. In America, think of the defiance of those patriots in Boston who refused to pay taxes to a king, or the dignity of Rosa Parks as she sat courageously in her seat. So it was in Tunisia, as that vendor's act of desperation tapped into the frustration felt throughout the country. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets, then thousands. And in the face of batons and sometimes bullets, they refused to go home, day after day, week after week, until a dictator of more than 2 decades finally left power.
So we just listened to the former U.S. President Barack Obama talking about the start of the protests in Tunis, in Tunisia, in 2011. So to give you a little bit of the context, what the former president of the U.S. was talking about was this person, Mohamed Bouazizi, who was a fruit vendor who set himself on fire in this city in Tunis, in city, because of the conditions he was forced to live in. And this sparked these protests. This event happened in the 17 December 2010. And in December 2010, of course, protests spread out throughout all the country. And the former president Ben Ali condemned this protest. But then, just basically a month later, January 14, the state of emergency was declared because Ben Ali fled the country. After this, of course, there was a very complicated process, which at the end brought to the formation of a new political spectrum. So we continue with this audio clip, and we'll be back.
I hope that our grandchildren remember us and say thanks to those who put us on the right road in 2014.
It is a historic moment, a moment of pride. You see the expressions of joy, pride, and gratitude from all those who have contributed. It's a message of determination for the future, because we expect a lot of difficulties. But it is also a message to unite and one of unity.
D'unité et d'unisson.
أول حاجة إني نحس روحي حر توا، ارتحنا من النظام البوليسي، يجاهوني الحكايات هذيك الكل. احنا كشباب ثورة عملوها الشباب التونسي. احنا جينا نصوتوا اليوم باش نسيروا بلادنا إلى أمان.
من حقي باش نختار رئيس لبلادي واللي ينهض بالبلاد يقدم بينا للقدام.
استبداد، ثم تعذيب في السجون، ثم سرقة أموال منهوبة، ثم برشا حاجات، لكن ربحناها من الثورة التونسية من عهد بن علي إلى حد الآن، أنها ربحنا حرية التعبير في الإعلام، في المظاهرات نتاعنا، في كل شيء.
مي en même temps الحاجة الخايبة سي جوست لو تيروريزم اللي ما كانش في بلادنا وكنا نسمعوا به، وتوا مالوغوزمون ماشي ويزيد يكثر في البلاد. مي هذيك هي مادامنا on cherche la liberté. سي كو فما حاجات نيجاتيف لازمنا احنا نحاربوا نعملوا نوتر ماكسيموم باش البلاد تولي سافا.
Maladie du pouvoir, au revoir. Maladie du pouvoir. Y'en a marre, y'en a marre, y'en a marre. C'est bizarre, c'est bizarre. Tu donnes le cafard au son de ma guitare. Je voudrais t'effacer de toutes les mémoires.
The electoral body announces the victory of Mr. Mohamed Beji Kahir Essebsi in the 2014 presidential election.
The results we obtained are the choice of the people. The people chose. We can't say no. The people chose and we have to accept the results.
For me, it's natural. The people chose. Whoever, Beji, Marzuki, the people chose. And that is democracy.
معكم اليوم تحية رسمي من قناة التحوير، وبنقدم لكم الوضع كما هو الحال عليه مباشرة من مولد سيدي المكشوف من أرض الكنافة، وعفوا أعزائي المشاهدين من أرض الكنافة. وطبعا زي ما احنا عارفين إن في أصابع مندسة كتيرة أو أصابع محشي عادي يعني.
الدنيا مولد يا ناس والناس بتتفرج في ناس تقرب لناس وناس بتتقرب.
Back here on the show, you just listened to Arabian Nights with Al-Donia Molet. And you also just listened to this second part of a radio clip where we were trying to show you some of the key events of the last years in Tunisia. And we started with approval of the new constitution and with the moment of the first, let's say, elections since the revolution. And then with the approval of the new head of state, with the new president. Of course, this process was also put in under pressure because of many internal events that happened throughout these years, especially in July 2003 with the assassination of opposition politician Mohamed Brahbimi. Of course, this prompted mass demonstrations, general strikes, and a call again for the former government to resign. From this moment, we can say that the consultation and the will to give the first constitution of the country really sparked. So then we were saying again 2014 with the first constitution, the first president. But then a lot of praises came from international press and international analysts because of the success of this democratic process, let's say, because Tunisia is probably the only country that experienced these revolutions in 2011, which managed to give himself a constitution. So this was seen, of course, as a success. In fact, Tunisia was, for example, named Country of the Year by The Economist, or also the group that managed to write the constitution was also awarded with international prizes. So things looked bright for Tunisia's future, but unfortunately things didn't actually rolled out as they were supposed to go. Let's listen to the last part of our clip to know a little bit more about this.
The end of Friday prayers brought Tunisians onto the streets of the capital. Security forces have deployed in Tunis and across the country. Demonstrations have built through the week as anger grows over government price hikes on top of already soaring inflation.
Why did we do the revolution? For jobs, for freedom, and for dignity. We obtained freedom, sure, but we're going hungry.
One main protest group using the social media hashtag #FeshNastanu, or What Are We Waiting For, wants a return to the spirit of the 2011 revolt.
We believe a dialogue is still possible and reforms are still possible. The yellow card is to say, attention. Today we have the same demands that we have been having for years. It's time to tackle the real problems, the economic crisis, the high cost of living.
The government enacted a new law this month, raising taxes to try to cut the deficit.
I think that this government feels that its ability to make its own economic policy, or its ability to roll back these austerity reforms, is very much limited by the demands of international financial institutions, primarily the IMF.
The government has condemned the violence, but pledged to listen to the protesters.
No matter what the government undertakes, its top priority, even during tough decisions, is improving the economic and social conditions of the people.
Could the region witness a repeat of 2011, with the protests gaining momentum?
We're looking at a different region now. But at the same time, there are similarities. The issue of austerity, of socioeconomic marginalization, of corruption and predation by elites.
The Tunisian government's task is to address those deep-rooted problems before the protests spin out of control.
πορτοκαλί. Η αλληλεγγύη έχει χρώμα και φωνή.
Back here on the show with random conversations, of course, and you just listened to El General with a song named Rais Lebled. This song was published. This song is very connected to the 2011 revolution because it was published just the 7th of November of the year, and in just a few days it became really viral. There were English subtitles, and it became one of the anthem of the revolution, also because the lyrics were a call, let's say, to the people to rise up, and especially to the leader to wake up and do something. But just before, on the audio clip, you listened about what happened in the recent months. Protests sparked again in Tunisia, but now, the problem is that the promises that these politicians that had the trust of the people were not really fulfilled by this ruling class. And so these protests that sparked, that were especially pushed by probably angry youth, that interpreted this attitude of the government again as an old attitude, were really important for the state. But what people were asking themselves is if these protests might resemble the one that started in 2011. But this is not clearly the most popular opinion, because the measures, the protests that are now in place are not much for freedom of speech or freedom in general and rights as they were the previous ones, but more for jobs and for social help that a lot of part of the country, especially the rural country, not the one on the coast, but on the other side, is feeling. And so we hope that you enjoyed this chronological history of Tunisia's country. And we're going to play another song, and we'll be back again with another Tunisian guests, but not here from Tunisia.
بنت ياسر انا جيت اقول لك ان انا مسافره.
مسافره امتى؟
مسافره بعد بكره ومش راجعه قبل سنه. خلي بالك من نفسك بالذات اليومين دول، وانا بجد بجد اسفه على كل حاجه.
مي انا مش فاهم انت بتعملي كده ليه؟ كل ده عشان خاطر محمد؟
في مليون سبب تاني غير محمد يا ياسر. من فضلك ما تكلمنيش تاني وخلي بالك من نفسك.
كتير انا نفسي اقوله ومش كفايه اللي بقوله. كلام كتير انا نفسي اقوله ومش كفايه اللي بطوله. قلبي يحكي عن غرامه لو عينيك يسمحوله. قلبي يحكي عن غرامه لو عينيك يسمحوله. بس خوفي يقول لي لسه لو تسمحيلي بجد رقصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني رقصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة. تسمحيلي تاني رقصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي تاني فرصة، تسمحيلي.
And you just listened to Adele with Teshmachil, and you're back here listening to Random Conversations. And as I was saying before, usually we have a guest here with us, and we ask questions to him or to her about his or her home country. But this time we decided to contact one person who is in Tunis. He is part of a youth organization, the Scouts, you know. They are famous also here in Greece. And he was very kind to send us an audio contribution talking about how it was to cope with the revolution and how things change and in his organization and on the way his organization now is more able to work in Egypt. So let's listen to his words and then we will be back here.
Salam everyone. I will try to say it in Greek. Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm Maher Trabelsi. I'm 33 years old. I'm from Tunisia and I'm living in Tunis, the capital of Tunisia. Actually, I'm working in the field of NGO management, especially as executive director with the Tunisian Scouts, which is the biggest youth organization in Tunisia, and it's like member of the international scout movement. And in Greece, for sure, you have like scouting, and I have so many friends in scouting in Greece. I was invited by Federico to share with you some ideas and some stories about Tunisia, and especially after the Arab Spring and what's happening in Tunisia since 2011. So I will try to tell a bit my impression and my experience with like the Tunisian revolution as youth leader and as a member of the civic society in Tunisia. The experience of the revolution in Tunisia is quite amazing on what we have seen as a change in Tunisia. And for every change there is like resistance, but also there is like some benefits or some advantages and some challenges. Actually, in Tunisia we see things going very well in the right way, especially if we compare it before the revolution. We had like so many challenges as youth and as like NGOs. So after the revolution, we can work in different fields, and we can work freely in different projects that can develop the society, or they can make the real difference and the real impact on the society. Nowadays, like the youth generation, they are having like the full freedom to make like new initiatives to help the country to find its best way, especially when we talk about democracy and when we talk about the local governance. And this is a new experience in Tunisia. We are having, like, as I said before, many challenges. It's not easy to make change in short period. It's not easy to convince all people to be like active citizens. Despite all kind of difficulties and all the problems, such as like the economical crisis and also the security problem, which are we are overreaching this problem, and finally we have like a big fight with like all the violent extremism, but everything is going very well now. I hope after this short story, now you know a bit more about Tunisia and the revolution. And please, if you have any kind of question or comments, you can share it with me via Federico. Also, I will be happy to see more Greek people in Tunisia, to visit Tunisia and to see how much things we share together. Besides like the sea and the Mediterranean, we have also common history for like more than 3,000 years. We have also the famous olive trees. Also, we have like the good tourism and the beautiful beaches with the sun. So also we'll be happy to share like with you as youth organization and as youth many experiences via projects and via partnership, and we'll be happy to work together. By the end, thank you for listening, and see you maybe in Tunisia or in Greece, and Afcharitos.
And we are back here on the show. We hope that you enjoy the words of our friend Maher from Tunis. We thanked him very much, and we hope that we maybe will be able to have him here in the studio. And now we're just gonna play another song from Hamel Mathlouthi. The title of the song is Bin Hell Away Then, and here it is for you listeners. Back here on the show, and I would like to spend a couple of words for this Tunisian artist that we have just listened to. Her name again is Hamel Mathlouthi. She is a young pop singer that comes from Tunisia, and she was she's seen as one of the revolution's voices of the Tunisian youth. But her attitude actually is some that you will not expect. I mean, she went on record saying, "Screw political. I hate that word." She doesn't want to be assessed in this way. But her talent was very well recognized internationally wise. She opened the Nobel Prize ceremony, and she's receiving praises around. And so I want to encourage you to discover her a little bit more. And in order to close the show, we are going to play another song from this Tunisian artist. We wish you a happy continuation with Portocali's web radio shows. And from me and Yanis,